right, welcome back to Spooky Happy Hour. I'm your host, Bree, and on this week's episode, I'm joined by Olivia and Bravin, 2/3 of Shadow Sessions Paranormal and Investigative Trio from Ohio. Thanks, guys, so much for being here.
Thanks
We
for
are
having us.
missing one little human. Caleb, if you're watching, sorry, we miss you.
He's asleep, so he works night shift at the hospital, so he's currently sound asleep.
Oh, well, hopefully he gets his rest in. It's a job that all of us need to be on our toes for. So thanks for your healthcare service. How are you guys?
Doing great. Doing great. How about you? Go ahead.
Good. We have a busy week. We have, 2 investigations this week?
2 investigations. We're hitting up the Licking County Jail on Monday, and then we're making a return. Me and Caleb are making a return to Old Hospital on College Hill on Wednesday.
I get to go for the first time.
Oh, yay. That's
So
exciting.
excited.
How is it whenever you guys like go to a place where one of you has been, but the other like hasn't? Do you let that person like explore a little bit on their own and like kind of come to their own, or do you tell them what's up?
We've kind of told Olivia what's happened, like what we had experienced at Old Hospital. But I tell everyone like Old Hospital is probably one of that, and Madison Seminary are probably some of the two craziest places that I've ever been to. Because it was just nonstop activity from the moment we walked in to the moment we left. And I'm not talking like, oh, we heard a tap or a knock. It's like we were hearing doors slam, we were getting touched, we caught 40 minutes of conversation back and forth on an EVP. Like it was nonstop. So we kind of told her what was going on, but we're gonna kind of let her see. We've got 2 other people that are going with us, so make the cost a little bit better.
Yeah, awesome. Are you excited to go, Liv?
Yeah.
I was gonna say you're like grinning from ear to ear. You're like, oh my god, I can't believe it. I'm
going.
going.
I'm so excited. Well, the weird thing is too, though, is we booked this, I think, the beginning of September. And it's that realization of like, okay, that was 2 or 3 months ago. And now it's December and now we're going. Like, where's the time gone? But like now we're going in 2 days.
Yeah, it's like that anticipation.
Yeah. Well, I texted the owner because we had gone there before, and I texted her. I said, hey, like, we want to look at some dates, and then we also you can rent 2 of the houses that are actually like on the hill property. And I was like, hey, like, what are the costs for Dr. Conley's house and then the cottage that they have? And she's like, oh, they're X amount. And I was looking back through the original date when I texted her, and it was back in August or September when we had booked it. So certain locations you book super, super, super far out. And then other ones, it's like, hey, Darren, I want to come into the jail 2 weeks ago. And he's like, cool, pick any date you want. It's totally fine.
I know. I going to Old Hospital for my first time in May, and we literally booked it like 2 weeks ago for May, and it's December. So I was like, yeah, sometimes you do though. And then it's like just this anticipation of like, oh my gosh, it's this month, it's the next month, it's the next month. And it's like, holy shit, it's finally here.
Yeah. It's in 3 days type of thing. Yeah. You are going to love Old Hospital. It's such an awesome place.
I'm super excited. There's 6 of us going, and one person's been there once previously, and then the rest of us haven't been. So I think it's gonna be like I like when like nobody knows what's going on, because you're all just kind of like open to anything, and so then sometimes I think that it like makes it easier to interact and get stuff.
When we went the first time, none of us had been, and I used to be like really heavy into like researching locations and trying to find all that I could about it, but now I'm like, I don't even worry about it anymore. I'm just kind of like, if something spooky happens. And I know when Caleb went in, he's like, I heard lots of crazy history, lots of cool things that happened in the town, and what we had happen we were not expecting to have happen. It was awesome. Yeah.
Are you guys gonna film on your upcoming one? Awesome. I'm gonna be really excited to see it then. Because I mean, I've seen it like on other maybe like YouTube content creators or paranormal type TV shows, but it's like it's nothing compared to like when you know somebody who's gone and then can talk to you about it, because I think it just makes the whole experience kind of like come full circle. So I'll be super excited to hear what you guys get.
We just upgraded to a new camera. So it just came in on Friday. It just came out on Friday. So we upgraded from like a Sony Handycam to a Canon XA20 with all the fixins. So we're pretty excited.
Heck yeah.
Setup now.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we just got a Canon XA50. I don't know what any of this means, but I'm pretty sure that those were the letters and numbers that I was like given. But we just got it, and I was like, wow, this looks cute. Someone show me how it works. Like,
someone show me how to use it. Well, what's crazy is I forgot that eBay was a thing, and I was like looking at all these different cameras, and I was like, wow, it's gonna cost me like $800 or $900 or $1,000 to buy a new camera. eBay, $400.
Okay, so I totally also forgot that eBay was a thing.
I rediscovered eBay like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I have probably dropped $100 on it.
You're just like binging eBay at this point.
Well, it's because they have like antique flyers, antique postcards from locations,
the buy now option
like this
is terrible.
and that, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I should probably wait until after Christmas to like remember that eBay exists and then
because,
go there.
People have like the postcards and it's like $2 and $1 free shipping, and I'm like, oh, this is cheap, and then I'll add up my cart and then I'll go to checkout. I'm like, I have $100 worth now.
Well, like when that free is like, you know, just like staring at you in the face. It's like, well, I have to then.
Oh, it adds up. But then I get too attached to the items and I'm like, well, I have to get them now.
Yeah.
Because you give yourself a personal story. You're like, oh, I need to have these.
I justify it for myself.
You guys are really twisting my arm in terms of I must go to eBay right now because it sounds like I want to in on this experience.
It was fun. It was fun.
It's amazing.
So when you guys first met, Olivia, you were on a flashlight tour at FCI, and were you her tour guide? Was that how that worked?
I was one of the guides there. Yeah. So I had kind of, we were doing, so FCI does flashlight tours periodically throughout the year. And I was one of the guides there. It was in the summertime, right?
Yeah, it was May of 2023.
Yeah. So I was kind of wandering around and I was like, oh, hey, like if you guys have any questions, like let me know. And we kind of got to talking and we all kind of just hit it off. And then we stayed friends. And then I was like, hey, do you want to go actually investigate somewhere? And me, her uncle, and then did Connor go with us that one?
Yeah, he went.
I think Connor Biddle from Paranormal Encounters went.
And then you brought Caleb, because you already knew Caleb at that time, which is how I got introduced to Caleb. And then after that investigation, it was just like, hey, we have this one. I started getting invited to everything. But it was like we would have other friends of his or of Caleb's that I got to become friends with. But it was always, no matter where we went, it was always me, Brevin, and Caleb for sure.
Yeah, so it's like, why not make your own group at this point? Yeah. And Olivia, now you're at FCI too in terms of like volunteer and a tour guide and whatnot. So
it was a very weird like full circle moment when I put it into perspective, because it was the same week that I became a volunteer at FCI. It was the same week that we started SSP, and it was like, whoa! I met Brevin at FCI. Met Caleb through Brevin. Now I'm a volunteer at FCI. The three of us have a group, and our first actual investigation for SSP was at FCI.
Well, it was kind of like this full circle, kind of like meant to be, right place, right time.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing about that, so Caleb lives in Lancaster, and he lives super close to Fairfield, but he had never been. He's lived in Fairfield or Fairfield County. He's lived in Lancaster for years and had never been. So the first time that it was crazy. The first time that we got to film an actual investigation episode, like Olivia said, was at Fairfield, and it was Caleb's first time actually investigating, and it was technically your first time actually
like fully investigating.
Like private, like we have this all to ourselves type deal.
But it was cool too though, because Caleb is, we like to say if Caleb gets spooked by something, then it's legit, because he's very much like, one of our biggest things is we always try to debunk everything possible. But Caleb is like the king of it. And he's always like, no, like, guys, come on. At FCI, we had some stuff happen, especially up in the attic. And he was on the 4th floor, and he was just like mind blown. And he's like, guys, this might be my number one spot.
He violently grabbed me and was getting ready to like run out of the building. And I said, Caleb,
he's like a big dude.
Yeah. He's got a real thick red beard, and he's just a no bullshit kind of guy.
For him to like put it at number 1, we're like, what? But I missed the whole thing too. I was under Estes, and I come out, and they're shining their flashlight at me, and I'm like, what happened? And Caleb and Brevin are, the floor shook. The floor, the whole building, it shook. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, just kind of totally being oblivious to it because you sensory deprivation.
But to see them just like it shook. I'm
well,
like,
we put her down in the
what?
middle of the hallway and put a bunch of equipment around her, and we're sitting down at the far end. And what we think happened is that the jail cell door slammed is what we think happened. We can't confirm it, but that would be the only thing that would cause the entire floor to shake the way that it did. So we pull Olivia out and we're like, dude, it's getting crazy. And but we're like, but keep going. Like go back under, keep going. Not even 10 minutes later, we had what sounded like because we were redoing the roof. There were a bunch of shingles on the ground, and it sounded like someone slid a shingle across the ground. And we clicked our flashlight on to like look and see down the hallway, and then something fell down the stairs. And
crazy.
And that was the point where Caleb was like, I'm ready to get the hell out of here. Like,
because I'm sitting there, I'm like, what happened? And then he finally uploaded the camera footage, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Well, it's like when you guys are there and you like volunteer there, you know, and you spend so much time there too. I think it's easier for you, one, to believe something's paranormal, and two, to also debunk something. Because like you said, like if they didn't know that there was like work on the roof like going on at the time, or if that was something that you wouldn't know to do that, but you guys do because you spent so much time in that location. So like, has your kind of paranormal experiences like changed over time of being there, or would you say they're kind of like consistently the same, like the same thing that you can expect each time you go?
You can go first if you want. I have my own theory on it.
Well, no, I'm trying to think.
Well, if you're gonna think, I'll explain.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the more senior guys there, so I've been volunteering there for a couple years, and I feel like it's different every time I walk in. So I've been in that building 50 sometimes. Like, it's checking teams in, events, flashlight tours. I've investigated it several times, and I think the vibe is different every time you walk in. Have you been to Fairfield before? I'm assuming you have. Okay. So it's this almost 200-year-old building. We're coming up on 200 years old in like 3 or 4 years.
It's what, 2028?
Yeah, in 2028.
Yeah.
And it's kind of built into the side of a hill. So when you are looking at it, it looks completely flat, and then you kind of drive up to the backside, and then you technically enter in on the second floor. And that's where the teams usually have their base camp set up. It's where the merch is where we check teams in and all that good stuff. Sometimes, because I get there maybe 20-25 minutes before a team gets there, because I'll walk the building and make sure that there's no critters in there, no one broke in, what have you. I walk in there, and sometimes I'm like, cool, no problem. I can walk this building completely by myself, no problem at all. And then sometimes I walk in and I'm like, nope, walk right back out and sit in my truck and wait for the team to get there. And I'll do the walkthrough with the team while I'm doing the tour.
Does it just like the vibe feel off? Is that
it
just feels like, I know that I'm not alone, but I definitely feel like I'm not alone, and I don't want to walk this building by myself because I feel like someone's going to be like 6 inches behind me.
Yeah.
Or I'll just like kind of poke my head and be like, okay, there's no one down that hallway, no one down that hallway. I'll check the other floors when the rest of the team.
So energetically, it can be very sensitive, or maybe you're just like really energetically sensitive as like a human.
I don't think that I'm sensitive at all. It's just like you can just feel, or not in the sense of where like I can see things or I can feel things. It's just like I'm kind of like, it feels extra spooky in here right now. Extra spooky. Or it's like, it's just a 200-year-old building that's falling apart because it's 200 years old. And
it's unpredictable. You never know.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, like, I completely agree with what you're saying, but especially there's 2 spots in the building that are like either okay or absolutely not. Get me the hell out of here.
I know what you're going to talk about.
Third floor. Third floor is, I mean, it's always like extra dark on that floor. It's either extremely just gross and nasty, and you're like, I do not want to be up here. Or it's like, okay, this is manageable. I can do this. That's calm. Then there's, what would you call the space? There's like a stretch sectioned chunk of the hallway
down
on the first floor, and it's right in front of the boiler room.
The maintenance hallway. Maintenance
hallway and boiler room put together is 90% of the time just an absolutely not. Like, if you're walking on the first floor, you walk extra fast right past there. You don't peek in the boiler room. You're like, I don't want to see what's in there. But then you'll go down there sometimes and you're like, it's almost like it catches you off guard when it's calm down there, and you're like, oh, it's manageable down here. Like I feel fine. I can walk in the boiler room by myself.
When we do public hunts, I'll have, because I do the same route every time. So like we'll go down the hallway, we'll go down to the first floor, and then we'll work our way all the way up to 4. And I have people, I do this experiment with them, and but I always tell them, like, if you truly don't want to do it, like, please tell me, I'm not going to make you do it.
Well,
but
like,
I have them walk one at a time into that maintenance hallway. And mind you, it's normally like in the fall and the winter time, it's dark at like 4:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So it's already dark because these events start at 7. So I have them walk through, and I have them, because you walk down the hallway, and there's the boiler room, which is dark and spooky already. But then there's another doorway directly across from it that I don't even really know what's back there because the door's usually closed. But excuse me, I have them stand in between the doorways and just kind of chill for like 15 seconds and then walk to the other side. And then I'm like, when you get to the other side, don't say anything. Like, don't be like, oh, I felt weird. Just just go through,
mark your experience and go.
Yeah. And then we talk about it at the end, and it's really interesting to see some people like, I felt nothing. And then some people are like, I felt gross in that space. So it's really interesting, because I like to kind of push people's boundaries a little bit. I don't necessarily like to push boundaries myself because I get scared easily, but but I'm so charismatic. I can just be like, hey, you should do this anyway. But hey,
you're like, let me persuade you into pushing your boundaries and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we make fun of him because he's always like, Olivia, you should go sit at the end of the creepy hallway by yourself in Estes, and we're just going to leave you. And I'm like, and then I'm like, Bravin, you should, like, we were at Post Town, and I was like, Bravin, you should go sit in this hallway blindfolded.
I did, though.
He did, but
I bitched a fit.
Absolutely not. There's no way. I don't want to. That's disgusting. And I'm like, oh, so me and Caleb can do this stuff. Because you persuade us to. But
you just got to get it all out of your like system first, and then you'll just go do it.
Yeah, and then something ran up on me, and I just died on the floor, just curled up.
No.
And just was like,
you're like, this is why I'm not doing this ever again.
Yeah,
exactly. You got it.
So where do your all like paranormal experiences start from? Like, I know Olivia, yours was kind of like just this on TV for the most part for a really long time, and then you know, in the last year or so, really getting a deep dive into it. I mean, going into cemeteries and doing investigations. And then Bravin, you too, like, you know, you got introduced to it at a young age, like with your dad, and kind of like telling those campfire stories, but from his like time in London, and now you're going back. So I'm sure that kind of comes like full circle. So how does like those early childhood experiences really impact where you all are at now?
First.
So growing up, I was, well, for starters, I was just a history freak in general, but I would always watch like Ghost Adventures, and I watched Destination Fear, and what's it called? The Dead Files?
With the detective and the sketch artist.
Dead something, file
like,
something,
it was always like
something. I don't know.
Criminal, murder mystery, paranormal. I was just so like interested in all of it. And then when it started getting like popular, paranormal investigating on YouTube, it's like I would watch X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, I want to do this, because it's kind of like paranormal investigating is one of those things where you could watch people do it all day, but are you going to believe them? You don't know, because it's one of those things that like
kind of have to experience it yourself.
Yeah, you have to experience it yourself. And I was always like, I really, really, really want to do it. And I don't know, I guess I didn't know how to get started, and I didn't have people around me that necessarily wanted to do it. So my uncle came down for my high school graduation, which was supposed to be outdoors, and then it got canceled because of a rain delay. And he flew here from the East Coast, and he was like, well, let's go find somewhere spooky to go. So I'm doing my little online stalking, and I find FCI, and I'm like, oh my God, it's only 45 minutes away. What is this place? Let's go. Met Bravin, and I'm like, oh my God, a cool group of people that are also interested in this, that are inviting me places. I'm like, we're going. Went to Madison, which is probably the best place for me to ever start off, because I mean, it's the Madison Seminary. And I was like, oh, this is legit.
When I take people places, like, I don't take them to small places. I take them to huge places, just like right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
I think it's nicer that way too, because like you're saying, like Madison has so many different worlds in it itself. And so it's like just like this gigantic paranormal playground.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, it was almost like a paranormal high. It was like,
yeah.
oh my God, I love this. I want to do it again. I'm like, Brabin, when's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one?
Well, even when I met you at a Haunted Nights event at Madison, that's how we met. And then like right after that, like I had to drive home 3 hours after a 10-hour investigation, after driving 3 hours to get there. And it's freaking awful. But at the same time, like when you are on that like paranormal high, it's like you could do anything afterwards. You're just like hopped up on adrenaline.
The best locations have the worst drives, in my opinion.
Yes.
But it's like, you tell me, oh, can you go drive 3 hours? I'm gonna be like, no. Do you want to go to a haunted seminary? 3 hours is nothing. Let's go.
Right. I'll be there.
Yep.
It's interesting, and kind of like with your question about like childhood experiences. We grew up kind of like listening to, because my dad grew up in a house. This town that he lived in predates the plague. All sorts of stuff, has like history with dragons and all sorts of cool stuff. So he grew up having lots of experiences in this town. And when he was living in England, and he always used to tell us ghost stories sitting around like, yeah, like I had a full body apparition in this house that was built in like the 18th century and all sorts of stuff. And I was always really into watching, just like Olivia said, Ghost Adventures when it was still cool.
Always have to throw out the disclaimer, you know?
Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Lockdown,
that's a good one.
Death Walker. I mean, that's more recent, but just kind of those paranormal shows. And like Olivia said, I had always been curious about investigating, but I didn't know how to like get into it. And then one of a mutual, my wife and I went to a wedding for one of her friends, and I met a guy named Brian. He was actually our first guest for the first guest podcast that we did. And I got talking with him, and him and Brianna went to school together and had remained friends. And he was like, hey, like, do you want to, he's like, I started a team in college, and he's like, I have this team called Your Paranormal. He's like, we're going to go investigate this location that's local to Youngstown. And he's like, love to have you come up. And drove 3-ish hours to get up to where he lives, stayed the weekend, and we investigated. And it was my first time ever doing an investigation, and I didn't know like really what to expect. And he runs it like really structured. Like you have like a role for that investigation. Like you're running the camera, you're taking photos, you're a note taker, you're a static tech, because that's how we did it in college. And the place was super cool. I didn't know what to expect. I was a little spooked out because I was like, this building is old, but he was like, hey, like go take like B-roll pictures in this gymnasium. It was 3 buildings, and they were in like the front building, and he's like, go walk into this back building by yourself. And I'm like, okay. So I wandered in there, and I'm like taking B-roll, and I heard like some walking behind me, and then something came up into my ear and like blew in my ear. Like, and like, it wasn't like they were messing with me. Like there was no one in the building. And at that point I was like, okay, like, just like Olivia said, it's a paranormal high.
Well, after that like initial shock of like, oh shit, this just happened to me. Then it's like, oh wait, what else can you do? Like do something different. Like I want to see more.
And we did. So I ended up joining Your Paranormal. And we did like 17 investigations between that year and the following year. And then we planned a huge trip. We did the Washoe Club, the Mackey Mansion, the Green Man Theater, which is in Kansas. And then we did the Sally House all within 9 days. And we drove all the way out to Nevada, and then hit all these locations on the way back. And it was an amazing trip. It was super, super fun. But it's just
totally memorable, like unforgettable type
thing.
I mean,
we almost died twice with rental car issues. I'm not going to get into it because that's like I could talk about it.
It's not going to be like your YouTube title for that video is that we almost died on these paranormal.
The day we almost died because our rental van was a piece of shit. But no, it's been a lot of fun. And then like Olivia said, Caleb and I used to work together. Not directly together. We used to work in the organ and tissue transplant space. And I worked in one department, he worked in another, and we kind of had like passings, but we never really like, it was kind of like, oh, hey man, what's up? Like, kind of like how dudes interact with each other. And then he ended up leaving to where he's at now. And one day I was like, he had been asking me like, hey, like, I'd love to go with you sometime. And I texted him like, hey, we're going to Middle Point Middle School. And I was like, do you want to go? And he was like, heck yeah, let's go. And then pretty much since then, him and I have been best friends. Like I see him probably once or twice a week. We go trail riding together. I mean, I see him just about as much as I see Olivia. So,
well, it's crazy how all of that stuff can like, bring people together. And like when you go on an investigation, even if that's the first time you've ever met that person, it's like you have like a bond. You don't forget that person. You know exactly what's up. And then like once you do it more and more, like there's there's nothing that can really like cut that tie.
The funniest, I have the funniest story, and it relates to Middle Point. So Your Paranormal. It's a rather large, like there's probably 10 like core people, but it expands. Brian is so inclusive and wants to like help people on their paranormal journey. He's so supportive and so like enthusiastic, and he's like, whatever you need, I will help. Like, you want to talk, he's working on writing books on like how to fund your investigations, how to find these locations, but he would be a great person to have on. He would be a great person.
I love when I have guests that are like, hey, go to see this person. This person would, want to be on here. They would love to talk to you because it just expands our whole like community circle. So thank you.
But we invited Seth. He's one of the like core group members. Well, he wasn't at that point, but he has become one. And we're like, hey, do you want to go like investigate Middle Point with us? And he had never met any of us before. He met Brian playing RuneScape. So he was like, hey, come investigate with us. And it's come to the point where one of the other girls that's in that group, they're engaged. Seth and this, and so like everyone in that group is so solid. So like I'm super happy to be a part of them. And Olivia's gotten to do an investigation with that group as well. So like they're probably the most solid group of people I've ever met. So.
And it's so nice to have those people because they can be like this, like when you don't have anybody else to go with, right? Or whatever. You're like, hey, I have this wonderful group that I know I'm welcome into at any point in time that I can go and ask to investigate. They'll ask me to come investigate. And it just feels like going back home in some sort of sense.
That's the thing with like the paranormal. It's whether it's an investigation, an event, this, that, you go anywhere that's anything paranormal themed, you will leave with multiple new friends.
Absolutely.
I mean, we went to a Haunted Nights event.
And here we are.
Here we are. Like, I met him at FCI. Now here we are. But like the cons too, like especially going to all three of the cons that Adam Kimmel put on this summer, I had probably 500 new Facebook friend requests and all these other people that I still talk to every day. And some of them are like, oh, Chicago, Kentucky, like New Hampshire. And I'm like,
the tri-state
you're
area.
Nowhere near me. But yet I talk to you every day. And I'll see you again eventually. And like, it's so nice to like, it's a big family, essentially.
Oh, it really is.
Family, but it's a family.
Well, it's like my friend Kayla went with me to MadCon and we were like standing in line to get in and you were like, taking pictures and filming and whatnot too. And you were like, oh my God, you're here. I was like, oh my God, you're here. And Kayla turns to me, she's like, how do you know her? I was like, well, I only met her one time at a Haunted Nights event a couple months ago, but she's really great. She's awesome. And I'm so excited to see her. And it's kind of like, you spend 10 hours with somebody in like sometimes your most like vulnerable type states. And so I think that just kind of bonds you for life a little bit.
Oh yeah. I think every Haunted Nights event that I've went to, I've become friends with like everybody there.
Yeah,
because
and it's so
it's
nice
like a
because
smaller group of people enclosed experiencing similar things. Like you're all there for the same reason, and let's hang out, let's have fun. And you're like, oh my God, I love you guys.
Exactly.
Well, it's like you said, you're like at some of your possibly some pretty vulnerable moments, especially when you're investigating these abandoned buildings, and like if you don't bond. I mean, you could call it trauma bonding, but like if you don't want to, if you can't bond through that, then I mean, probably isn't meant to be. But I haven't really met anyone that I've investigated with that I'm like, I never want to see you again ever.
Right, never again. Yeah, no.
But one of the other cool things too, though, is it's like, I'll use con as an example. Like you make a million new friends there, and then you keep up with them after con. You're recapping, or you're chatting with them at con. You're like, so you do the paranormal and you're here and like blah blah blah. But like, what else do you do? Like, what's your main job? Where are you from? And it's so cool to hear like everybody's backgrounds, but yet we're all brought together by the paranormal hobby. And in this one very moment, like we're all together because of the same common interest.
Yeah, absolutely. Really cool. Just like serving all of these industries or different fields and like no matter what, it's just like this golden thread that keeps us all bound together. And I absolutely love it.
Well, and it helps you, like you can make your connections. Like I give tours at the Licking County Jail as well. And that Jeff Fent called me and said, hey, we're Licking County Jail is looking for another guide. Like, I think you'd be a great fit. Like, are you okay if Darren Smith, who runs he's like the manager, I guess, of the Jail of Terror, which is their jump scare haunted house, but then also the paranormal aspect for the Licking County Jail. And he's like, would you be interested? I'm like, yeah. So he gave me a call, and it's myself, Darren, and one other guide. We handle all the overnights. Because someone has to sit there. It's not kind of like Madison or Fairfield where they like, hey, lock yourself out at 4 a.m.
Yeah, right. It's like someone's going to be on property to kind of like make sure everything's cool.
Yeah. So we have to sit in the building as long as they're there. But it's super cool because like, and Darren also is probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my entire life. Super, super down to earth guy, super, super nice. He investigates with, when he can, Jeff Fent, Ken Ace Taylor, John Ward, all that group of guys. So he's fantastic, but it's kind of like opened up that door for me to kind of help there. And like, I just helped with one of Lauren Hellickson and, oh my God, Christine, she's going to kill me. She's going to kill me because I can't remember her last name. But they did an event at the Licking County Jail a couple weeks ago. So I got
she had like a presentation Lauren did.
Exactly. Yeah. So I got to interact with them. So it's like you kind of get to meet all these really, really cool people and just kind of build up a bank of like, just like you said, hey, do you want to go get spooky on a Saturday night at some random place 4 hours away? And they're like, hell yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Well, it's like $100 a person, but met Lauren. Well, I didn't even meet Lauren because I was too intimidated to go up to her because I think she's just like the coolest person in the entire world. And I was like, your level of cool, my level of cool, way different. But then she came on the podcast a couple episodes ago, and it was like the craziest conversation ever. We didn't talk anything really about like ghosts at all. It was more of like the culture of the paranormal and like the relationships of the paranormal and the dynamics in this entire field. And so after that, I was like, girl, like, I don't know why I was ever like, so hesitant to like come up to you. This was so, and I think that it's because too, like sometimes we can think of the paranormal as having all these different hierarchies, based on like, oh, you're on a TV show, or this is your first investigation, or you have 3 bags of equipment. You only have a digital recorder. I think that we all like kind of place each other on these different tiers, but at the same time, an totally inexperienced person can come into a location and get the best evidence ever compared to like somebody who's totally seasoned. So I like this field too, because no matter if we try to socially construct it all we want, we are still all on the same playing field.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I just like, I love the people who get that. And like maybe some of the people that don't, I think are harder for me to want to, have other types of relationships with. Not that I would ever be like mean or anything like that, but I think that like, once you really kind of like maybe understand a little bit more about how like paranormal works, like not one person is going to really get better anything than this other person. I mean, you can have all these different styles and all of these different like paranormal personalities if you want to, that might help certain locations or certain spirits or whatever come out. Sure. But there's not like a one size fits all thing for the paranormal. And that's what I really appreciate. Everybody has their own space.
Yeah.
It's not really like like you said, it's not a one size fits all. It's kind of, I mean, ghost hunting equipment's expensive. So like if you want to ghost hunt on a budget, I mean, get some cat balls and an audio recorder, or just go by yourself. I mean, I've heard several people that they're like, I just go in by myself and I just sit and listen. And I'm like, I mean, you're so much more ballsy than I am. Because like at least the equipment will kind of let you know that something's coming.
Yeah.
But if you're just sitting in this abandoned building by yourself with nothing there, then hats off to you for for being comfortable doing that.
People that come through FCI for flashlight tours completely by themselves, and they just rent equipment, and
Mm.
you don't see them again the whole rest of the night.
Yeah, that
You have
was
to
my
go
very
find them
first
eventually.
Yeah.
investigation. Like my very first investigation, other than like my urban exploring that's done
Mhm.
forever, that is also kind of just like a different little area, I guess, with
Yeah.
paranormal. But
It's
my very first one was at Hillview Manor. I went by
okay.
myself. I had
Mhm.
just broken up with a dude who I would investigate with, like just
Mhm.
around like our area or like
Yeah.
wooded areas, cemeteries, like all the other
Yes.
stuff. We had just broken up, and I was like, fuck you, I don't need you to do investigating. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go by myself.
Yeah.
So I go to Hillview Manor
You
on
went
a
to
public ghost
Hillview
hunt.
Manor by yourself?
On a public ghost hunt.
Damn,
And
girl.
literally just like took off by myself and had like the coolest experiences
Yeah.
every single place that I went. And I was like, I don't need anybody else to do this as long as I have a public event. I
I ain't
can
no man.
go.
Mhm.
Exactly. I was like, I
Mhm.
can go and do whatever I want. And then
Listen,
it's just
paranormal.
like like blossomed from then. Then I'm like
Yes.
handcuffing myself to a jail cell at Cambria County Jail for 30 minutes by myself, and everybody leaves the damn building. And so it's like the progression just from like March
Yeah.
when I had that at Hillview Manor until now. I'm like, oh yeah, like the whole pushing boundaries
Yes.
and whatnot. Like
Yeah.
the
You
more
have to
comfortable
push
that you get, you're
boundaries,
like,
step out of your
let's
comfort
figure it out.
zone, like.
Mm-hmm.
But really fast, the paranormal is a great way to heal a breakup.
Oh hell yeah.
So,
Well, and
mhm.
with all the people that I met too, it was just kind of like this, like it filled a void for a while. And
Yeah.
then
Mhm.
I was like, wait a minute, this void has been here much longer than any
Yeah.
relationship, heartbreak, whatever. It was like this missing kind of piece. And so I
Yeah.
Like
think
you
that
didn't
like
know was missing.
finding
Yeah.
right. It was like finding my people was like finding my community, finding my tribe,
Yes.
like all the places that like everybody has this inherent sense
Mhm.
of like belonging. And if you don't
Mhm.
have it, you're looking
Yeah.
for it. And so I really felt like I found it. And that's why I think I
Mhm.
can let people handcuff me to a jail cell and say, "See you
Yeah.
later" for
It's this
30
whole
minutes.
other
Like,
level of it's this whole other level of trust is what it
Yeah.
is. Because you're like,
absolutely. And
you
like,
are
you
coming
never
back,
think that you
right?
find that until you're like, wait a minute, why would you ever let anybody do that to you? And I'm like, well, you
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
You see, my group of friends is very, very weird. But like
Mhm.
even in my current like role, I travel a lot for work and I
Mhm.
interact with a lot of people and we'll kind of get to chit chatting while
Mhm.
we're doing trainings and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, like I like to ghost hunt. And they're
Mhm.
like, excuse me?
Yeah.
And they're always super, super curious about it.
Mhm.
And we get to talking and I recommend our page, various
Mhm.
pages. And I'm like, well, if you want, you can always come with us. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And we did Post Town 2 weeks ago. Was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago. And one of my work colleagues that works for different company,
Mhm.
but in the same industry, she lives super close to it. And I was like, hey, you want to go? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. Never ghost hunted a day in her life. Like, was super terrified the entire time, but she said that she had an absolute blast. And like the group that we had was such a solid group. There were like 8 of us there, but
Yeah.
it was such a solid group. And she's like, that was so much fun. Like,
Mhm.
if I would be okay to come again, like, please
Mhm.
tell me. I'm like,
I love
absolutely.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's kind of, we did Beale also a couple weeks
Mhm.
ago. November, December have been super busy. And
Yeah.
a good friend of ours, Kate, she has gone on a couple investigations
Mhm.
with us, and we're hoping that she'll kind of become a little more consistent with us.
Mhm.
But her fiance has come a couple times, and he's like a huge skeptic,
Yeah.
like huge
Mm.
skeptic. He's like, "Do you guys really believe all this stuff?" And we're like, "I mean, to a certain degree."
Yeah.
But
Sure.
he had reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "Do you care if I come again?" And I'm
Oh.
like, dude, I'm like,
Yes.
yes, absolutely. You are more than welcome to come along. And then
Mhm.
what makes it even funnier is that like a week later, Kate was
Mhm.
like, hey, like Joe asked if he could. I was like, he already asked me if he could go. Like he's already. She's like that little stinker. He acts
Yeah.
so aloof about it, but it's so funny because like
Mm.
I worked with both of them, and
Mhm.
then they've kind of moved on.
Mhm.
But we kind of like help maintain that friendship, not just solely because of the ghost hunting, but it's like
Mhm.
it's one thing that it's like, hey, we can all kind of come together
Yeah.
It's
and see
still the
each
tie
other.
that binds, you know?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Well, and
it's cool.
having so many people that like, maybe are skeptics or who have never done it before, what
Mhm.
do you think are like the most common misconceptions about investigating or just the paranormal in general?
I think their biggest thing is they don't understand it.
Mhm.
And like someone like any of the 3 of us or anyone you've like that's done it a couple times, we kind of understand how
Mhm.
the how the equipment works, and we kind of go into it. I don't want to say with a grain of salt, but it's like we kind of go in and it's like, okay, there's other things that can be manipulating this. And I think that they're going in and like, okay, this piece of equipment is going to for sure tell me that there is a ghost. Yeah. But then also they're not going to believe it unless like a ghost slaps them in the face. Is kind of what I'm thinking. So I think it's just, they don't know what they don't know. And as they get like more and more comfortable with it, because I mean, looking in from the outside, it's like, well, you people are freaking crazy. Like you guys go into these abandoned buildings, and again, like I said, they don't know what they don't know. And if they get a little more comfortable with it, which Joe, and this is not me bashing Joe, I love him. He's such a good dude. When we were at Post Town, we split up into 2 groups, and he came in and he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, there's some weird stuff going on here. And but he didn't really like elaborate on it a whole lot. And we're like, that's what we're talking about, Joe. That's what we're talking about. You want to get to the point where you're like, I have exhausted every logical explanation as to what this could have been. And then if you've exhausted all the options, you just kind of leave it at that. Oh, sorry. My cat likes to, whenever I have meetings, he likes to come hang out. So you'll probably hear him.
Pets are always allowed to join.
You'll hear him screaming. But once it's been like, there's no logical explanation, then it's like, okay, that has to be something paranormal. But even then, it's like, it could just be something that we're not thinking of.
Yeah. It's also like, I mean, going back to like what I said earlier is you have to experience it firsthand to believe it, because I mean, not everyone is going to have the same exact experiences. Like, sure, like we might experience something together, but it's still going to be different for everybody. But also, I think a big thing too is having an open mind, because if you go into it, for example, and just be like, I don't believe in this, like ghosts aren't real, the paranormal's not real, like any taps you hear is a door, like a creak or like whatever, and you're just instantly debunking everything, closed-minded. It's like, regardless of what happens, even if it is paranormal, you're not going to believe it, because you're going to come up with some explanation in your head.
Even if it's not like relevant or not even like, you know, it's not a correlation at all, you're still going to find something.
Yeah. And it's like, you have to go in with an open mind and allow yourself to experience whatever you will experience, and allow yourself to like think or come to terms with the possibility of there is nothing to logically debunk what happened. What else could it be besides the paranormal? Like things like that. When you're so closed-minded, it doesn't matter how much debunking, how much proof you have. It's just, you're not going to believe it. And you have to open yourself up and allow yourself to experience whatever you're going to experience.
Well, I think like the biggest misconception that I hear from people is kind of like you were saying, Bravin, was like, that you're so brave. I'm like, I don't know any of the people that I investigate.
When I go into buildings,
or like, I don't think that we're all like brave humans. I think that we're more curious than brave. So it's like, I know hella curious people. I may not know as many like brave people. Do I think that it is brave to like go into a haunted location or go by yourself, or, you know, try to talk to spirits, whether they're dead or in a different timeline, or, you know, whatever it is, that theory that we're working with here. I think that is brave. Yes. I don't necessarily think I'd classify myself as a brave individual. I just engage in brave behaviors at times, but with the most curiosity of a mind. So I think that like, that's the biggest misconception that I think that people have, is that like, oh, you're so brave, you're so strong. And I'm like, but you know me, like maybe some degree that is true, but the other degrees it might not be.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you, Olivia, kind of hit it on the head. Like what you put into it is, I think, what you're going to get out of it. And that's something that I kind of tell, like when I'm running an event at Fairfield, when I'm giving the tour and I'm kind of talking about the building, and it's like, one, if you're feeling bad, please tell us, obviously, because like we'll kind of remove you, and we'll kind of do some stuff to kind of like ground you and like and kind of bring you back. But I feel like the more open you are, you obviously still have to protect yourself. Because I mean, what we're messing with is not like the safest, I think. But I think if you open yourself up and still kind of keep yourself protected, but be like, hey, I'm willing to communicate and willing to kind of have these interactions, something might happen, but also something might not happen. Yeah. And that's something that Caleb and I talk about a lot. And it's like, you see a lot of these big TV shows or these big, super popular YouTube channels. It's like they go to these locations and we're going to the same places and they're getting like activity, like a demon bit my ankle and dragged me down the stairs. And it's like, we went to this building and we sat there for 8 hours and literally not a single thing happened. Yeah. Not a single thing happened. But again, it's still like, it's still that experience. It's like, it was super cool to check off that location, good hangs with your friends and stuff like that. And it's, I mean, what else was I going to do? Honestly, I'd hang out with my wife. I'm just kidding. I love my wife very much.
I was going to ask you that, like, you know, how does she feel about, you know, your investigations? Like, does anything ever like come home with you? Does she like have rules for you of like, these are the things you must do before I let you back in this house? Like,
so, she's gone on a couple investigations. So she's done, she did Grand Midway. She's done Fairfield. She's done the Greene County Alms House. So she's done a couple investigations with us, and she's not like, I don't want to say that she's skeptical, but she's kind of in that space. Like, she gets scared really easily, and she also has a very strict bedtime of like 8:30. So she's like, I'm sleepy and I want to go home, and I'm like, babe, we're 5 hours away from home. We're sleeping here.
Yeah.
But she trusts me enough. I mean, I had something follow me home one time, got that taken care of. And it wasn't like anything malevolent or anything like that. It was just something that was just kind of nagging at me. I had someone come in, Christopher, who's the in-house psychic at Fairfield. I reached out to him. He came out, and basically took care of whatever was here. Haven't had any issues. But like, her big rule is don't bring anything home, which I guess I kind of like broke that one rule. But we got it taken care of. I mean, I don't turn on any of our technology in the house. We don't mess as a group. We don't mess with Ouija boards or anything, which that's a whole other conversation. Cause no, I mean, she wanted me to get another hobby other than Legos. I don't know if you can kind of see like in the background, like I've got all sorts of Legos and stuff. And she's like, Brabin, you are a grown ass man. Find yourself a cheaper hobby.
He's like, fine, forget the Legos. I'm gonna go talk to ghosts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go bring my Legos and see if the ghost will put them together for me.
New trigger off.
And I'm gonna spend just as much money, if not more, on ghost equipment. But yeah, but I'm still buying Legos. So
ghost hunting is an expensive hobby. Yeah,
it is.
But
it's worth every penny.
She likes it. She likes that I have a hobby. She also likes it that she gets the bed to herself, and she gets like some.
Oh, I bet she's like, "Are you guys going on an investigation this weekend? Because I'm very tired and I need to be in here at 8:30 by myself."
Exactly. But she's super supportive, and I mean, we've got some really good friends out of it. I mean, like Olivia and Caleb are probably my two closest friends that I see on a consistent basis. So I mean, like Olivia and my wife and Caleb's wife, they'll all go out and do stuff together. We'll all hang out as a group with our significant others and stuff like that.
The nice thing is his wife and Caleb's wife becoming friends with them and doing this with them has brought me Brianna, and Caleb's wife Christine. It's brought me them. So it's like, I'm always stuck with these two. No offense. But I go hunt with them all night. But then it's like, oh, wait, I have girlfriends now because of that. I'm like, hey, what do you guys want to go do? Like, I need my break from the boys. Like, let's have a girls' day.
Like, perfect example. I was in Puerto Rico for work on my wife's 30th birthday.
Yeah.
On her 30th birthday. And October's always super busy travel-wise. And I was working on, I was going to be able to get home at like 5 o'clock, which was like, cool, we can still get dinner reservations. And I went to click purchase on my plane ticket, and it lagged out and was like, this ticket's now $4,000. And I'm like, oh, can't do that. So Olivia and Christine and Vanessa from Shadow Things, because we all kind of hang out with each other. They all took my wife out, took her to dinner. Or I don't even know what you guys did. You guys, they did a girls' night and got her a cake and had all sorts of fun stuff. And then we went out to dinner the next night. But it was super cool to kind of have like, because we're all friends, but kind of have that portion.
It's more of like a family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Nice too, because like we'll go over our studio for whenever we film our podcast is over at Caleb's house. So it's like we'll go over there to film our podcast, but like sometimes like we'll have Brianna come with us, and it's okay, let's film these episodes, and then we can all hang out.
Yeah, hang out. Like, I mean, that's exactly what we did. We actually had our fastest turnaround for a podcast episode ever. We filmed it. We filmed an episode on Friday, and I had to listen to the entire thing because I may have been a little tipsy while we were talking. So I had to make sure that I didn't say anything out of pocket or that anyone said anything out of pocket. Yeah. So, but we filmed that episode, and we had Morgan, who's a really, really good friend of Caleb, and I took his paranormal virginity at Old Hospital. So first time ever
do that at.
First time ever ghost hunting ever. And he's done Old Hospital and he's done Hinsdale House with us. So those are the only two places that he's gone, but we went over
2 major locations.
Exactly. Yeah. And we filmed that episode. It was like hour and a half, or hour 45. And then we were done and we hung out, ate some food and just chit-chatted and just talked until like midnight, and then my wife drove me home.
That's so awesome though. Well, speaking, I have 2 things. One, Crescent Sanatorium and Prison has been open for a trial period to do some ghost tours and public events investigations. I just went to Crescent 2 weeks ago for the first time ever.
I was like, oh, it is beautiful. And it seemed like you had a great time.
It was awesome. Like, we were there from like, I think we got in at like 7:30. It was like 15 degrees. So we left at like 1:30. I think I left at 1:30. I tapped out at 1:30. We could stay until 3, I think, but I tapped out at 1:30 because my feet were like frozen. But if you guys want to come, I think it's like until the end of January that they have investigations. So if you all ever want to come to Pennsylvania, take the road trip. Creston's 20 minutes from my house. So that's why it's like but come and we can totally I will go up there at any point in time whatsoever. The Cambria County Jail is also 10 minutes from my house. So
can you film there?
So, yes, as far as I know, I mean, definitely Cambria County, because we filmed for YouTube when we went to Cambria County, and I went Paranormal Theory. I'm wearing their merch. We'll get into a little bit about theory stuff here in a hot minute. And then Crescent, I think that like they had with the stuff that you signed, there was nothing that said like, hey, you can't film or you can't live stream or you can't do whatever. I think I did go live on Instagram for a little while, so I think that you could. I think that you can come and do all that stuff too.
I just looked. It's 4 hours from my house.
Oh, that's not bad. Not terrible.
Because we all meet at my house and then we all drive together.
Yeah. He's like
and before it gets like crazy winter. I mean, like we did literally had just had like a flipping blizzard, and then it was cold as shit. Like I wore like these big ass boots. I got this giant ass coat with this big fur hat. Like I don't even wear like winter jackets
like
normally.
15 degrees and snowing here, and today it's sunny and 45 degrees for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I'm like, thank God, melt all the freaking snow.
But no, like I will definitely stay in touch because that would be really fun, especially too for you to get to meet Gravin and Caleb in person.
Yeah, and for us to just go and like experience the paranormal together, I think would be really great. So that's my first agenda is an open invitation to anything in Pennsylvania. I will meet you.
The whole time that we were at the Haunted Nights event, I don't even know if we technically like investigated together or not.
Yeah. Because I think we were just like on breaks, like hanging out and chilling and walking around and
like,
whatever.
Oh, I'm here. What did you experience? Oh, okay. Like
and at one point in time, I thought she left. Like I thought Olivia left at the events because like Steve and I and Courtney and like 2 other people that I can't remember their names. We were on like the Civil War side, I think. I don't remember to be quite honest. But you and Dylan were on like the opposite side of like the building. Yes. And you guys were investigating, and we heard you, like both of you talking, and like then like these like up the stairs. And so we were just like, okay, well, let's wait until they come here. And then you didn't at all. You didn't at all. And then Steve ended up being like, what the fuck? He was like, I'm texting Dylan. So he texts Dylan. He was like, dude, where are you?
I think this is when we were over with Barbara and a couple others.
Yeah, y'all were
you guys were on the Civil War side, then we were doing she was under Estes or something. Because there was a group of us, because I feel like I remember hearing like or you guys asking like, were you here? And I was like, no, I've been over here by Sarah's room. Like, what are you talking about?
It was wild. Like, we literally heard the
But
two
I
of
didn't
you.
know the
Both
full
of you are
story.
like in like distinct like voices, like the two of you. And like we just heard these like footsteps come up the stairs, and we were just like,
and we weren't there.
No, like nobody came down the hallway. Like it was just footsteps up the stairs.
Yeah.
No one came down the hallway whatsoever. And that's when Steve was like, no way. Nope.
I'm trying to think if it could have been us like walking up the stairs, because I know at one point I was walking around taking pictures.
Yeah, no, Steve, like Dylan was like, no, we're on like the whole other side. Like, we're not even like close to where you are. We thought maybe you'd be like down in like the break room and like sound travel or something. But yeah, no, not at all.
I love Madison so much.
I'm like in shock over that. I didn't know the full story. That is insane.
Well, that we really thought it was both of you.
Isn't Madison one of those places too where like people will see someone or hear someone's voice and then like they're not, what am I trying to, what's like the word for that? Yes.
Or like doppelganger.
Yes.
Yeah, no, definitely there was something going on at that time, because we even stopped doing what we were doing just to like allow you guys to come up. And then when we heard the footsteps stop, we thought like, oh, they're hearing us investigating. So they probably are like, oh shit, like we don't want to go. But like nothing, like it's not like we heard footsteps go back down the stairs or anything. It just like stopped.
Well, that's, I mean, footsteps in and of itself are gross.
Yeah.
They're so crazy.
That is one of like the nastiest but coolest things ever.
Yeah, it was freaking wild. God. And like we didn't get so much stuff like during that like Haunted Nights event, but it was like, it was right at the end of the night. It was almost like, I think like almost 4 a.m. And like that was like the very last thing that happened. And then I like went down, got sheets, and went home.
Sheets. That's what I did. I made my sheets up. Madison's so convenient because you have 2 sheets right there.
Yeah, it's right down the street.
I'm like,
freaking amazing. There's a sheets a mile from my house. As well.
Yeah, we have. Well, he has one 5
It's
minutes,
literally right there,
literally right around the corner. And then for my house, they built a second one, so I have 2 within a 10-minute radius. And I'm like, yes.
Oh, hell yeah. All my friends are like, oh, I need to come and try sheets. I need to come and try sheets. I'm like, just come visit me. We'll go to sheets. You'll have your experience.
It's the best. I did have a quick side thing with your comment about Crescent. If you ever want to come to Fairfield, let me know and we can set something up. And I'd be more than happy we can investigate it together. That would be
hell yeah.
That's like an hour from, or 45 minutes from us. But being that I'm crew, I have some perks that I can use. So
heck yeah.
we'd love to have you guys come out.
As soon as the weather breaks, we are going to do an Ohio trip. I think we're going to do like Ohio, Indiana. I think we're going to go the whole way, like Monroe House, ISS, Fairfield, like Madison, Old Lincoln County Jail, and then go back home.
So when you do Lincoln County Jail, let me know. And I can make sure that because Darren will put the dates in our chat and they're just kind of up for grabs for whoever wants it. So when you guys are getting ready to book a date, let me know and I can try to make sure that I'll be your guys' guide for that.
And
hell yeah. Absolutely. Please come. The invitation is always open. And this is exactly like a perfect prime time real life example of how you meet like one person, 2 people, a group of people, and then it just completely goes throughout there. So I appreciate the welcome and the extended invite. And you guys are always welcome here too. My second point was more about the tipsy comment. We're going to go into a segment that I like to call cocktails and conundrums. So
I was so excited when I saw this in the email. I have my lifeline, aka my Duncan.
Yes, you need it
always. This I told Bravin, waking up and being here. Like I woke up at like 9 a.m. for like me as someone. My normal bedtime is between 4 and 5 in the morning because I am most productive at night. I am like a chronic night owl. And so I'll do nothing all day and I'll crack out everything on my to-do list at night. And like, this is the equivalent of waking up at like 6:30 in the morning and then instantly going to work. I'm like,
also semi-normal
like 3 of those.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do 3 rounds. So you'll pick a number from 1 to 25. I'll ask the question associated with that number, and then all of us will answer it. So let me get to my list. Who wants to go first?
I guess
you don't even old enough to drink, so
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm just a baby.
1 through 25. What's your lucky number, Bravin?
I'm gonna take.
Oh, Olivia's going first. Sorry.
Am I going?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna take 7.
7.
I feel like I'm like in the hot seat right now.
What's something that you're incredibly bad at but love to do anyway?
Be late. Sorry.
I'm not bad at being late. I'm great at being late, actually. Thank you very much. Singing.
Are you a karaoke
100%.
girl? If I take you out to karaoke, will you sing with me?
I am. Oh, absolutely. It's not going to sound good. You might want some earplugs. The voice might crack, etc.
But you're there. You're down for it.
Let's go.
Like next time, MadCon, when I come in September, we went out and did karaoke at the night before for MadCon. So please come out and do karaoke.
Yeah. For like the long car rides, like 3 hours to Madison, I'll put on my playlist.
Sing at the top of your lungs like Adele in concert.
Oh yeah, that's how you survive, especially when you're driving back 3 hours at like 4 a.m. You need to concert.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm incredibly bad at cornhole. I'm like sincerely the worst. Like I'll have like 3 of them go right in, and then afterwards I can't even like hit the board. But I love to do it so bad, and I get so competitive, like really terribly competitive. Like I'm gonna, kick your ass. Like I'm definitely winning this game, and then I will never win
cornhole and PTSD. I don't know if you were out there. I don't know if you were out there at MadCon. Oh, were you only there Saturday night?
Yes.
Or were you there Friday night?
Nope, Saturday night.
Okay, so Friday
I was singing karaoke.
Night.
I was singing my ass off karaoke Friday night.
Friday and Saturday night. I think it was mainly Friday night. We were playing. Well, there was this ring toss game, but then there was cornhole, and so it was Steve and Tim and me and Dylan. We're playing cornhole, right? I am incredibly, incredibly terrible at cornhole. It got to the point where Dylan, my own teammate, is like, dude, you suck. What the hell are you doing? And he would run over together. He would run over to the opposite side by Steve. And like, if this is the board, he's like, do you need a map? Do you need a map? It is right here. It is right here. Could I get a new teammate? And Tim and Steve are just like, wow, you suck. And I'm like, wow, I hate all of you.
Shitheads, all of them.
Just, you know what?
I'm allowed to say all those things too.
I'm trying my best. Like,
right.
See, having fun. So
next time we will both be incredibly bad at cornhole together. And they can
you and I can be teammates, and then we can show them up with our terrible skills.
Exactly. We will too.
I'm terrible at cornhole and beer pong until I get drunk. And then I'm better.
And then you're good.
And then I'm better. And like my wife was like, no, that's not a true statement. And then
you're like, watch.
We did this event at Caleb's house called Beer Olympics. And you basically pick a country and you compete in all of these various drinking games. And because I'm a goober, we decided to be the Vatican City. And we played dressed as monks. I was okay at all the various games until like, okay, Canada won. And then we started playing like more beer pong, and I just kept drinking, and me and Caleb ran 8 games undefeated.
Oh yeah, champs.
8 games undefeated. So I'm pretty bad at that. And I'm also pretty bad at singing until I get drunk, and then I will sing my heart out.
Yeah.
So you're coming to karaoke. It's happening on the board. MadCon karaoke 2025.
Yes. We put on like our teenage white girl jams, as we call them, in the car whenever we're together.
Hell yeah, why not?
Oh, let's go. Oh,
I feel like Olivia is like destined to do some Avril Lavigne or something like that. I hear it. I hear it in my brain.
Later, boy.
See? Start practicing now, and then by the time we get September 2025,
we already have our song picked out. It's gonna be September before we even know it.
I know it'll be here very quickly
before you know it,
and we'll have like 20 investigations under our belt by
then.
Yeah.
All right, Bravin, 1 through 25. Where are you at?
22.
Ooh.
All right. Can something truly be considered random, or is it just a lack of understanding all the factors involved?
Damn.
Yours is like deep.
Mine's
deep. Like, what are you bad at?
So many array of questions are in here.
I know. I love this, by the way. This is a really cool factor to have in here.
Thank you.
Like, it's fun.
I think it could be both. I think there are certain things that can be completely random. I don't know what I would give an example of something being completely random. But I would also say it probably could be just like a lack of understanding, because I think there's so many things at work that we don't fully understand, like aliens. We had a crazy experience at actually, I do know something that I can compare. So we were at Hinsdale, and we basically had an alien experience at Hinsdale when we were outside. And what we were doing and the results that we were getting, there's no way that was just something that was completely random. No way, no possible way that was something that was random. So I think that it's, and I think I'm going to change my answer. I think it's just a lack of understanding. I don't know if anything is truly random. I mean, we could call it like, okay, there was just a random noise, but was it really a random noise? Because I feel like there's probably some type of logical explanation for it. Like, oh, we heard a tap. Okay, there might be a leaky pipe somewhere. The building might have shifted. Some kid could have thrown a rock at a window or something like that. So I think that it's just a lack of understanding.
Olivia, what about you? Do you, like, after having that experience too, like Hinsdale, is that something that you would
she didn't get to experience
I didn't get to experience it. Yeah. I got to hear all about it from the multiple perspectives. But I don't know. I feel like everything, it kind of contradicts with the paranormal, but I'll get there. But I feel like everything in the end has an explanation. There is an explanation for everything. But with the paranormal, maybe that explanation is paranormal because, you debunk it. And the paranormal is the explanation for it. It's a very, hard...
But there would be a reason for the
when the explanation is the paranormal, and the paranormal is, like, so big and vast, and we don't necessarily know for sure, and we can't understand it, it's probably hard to then know.
Yes. There we go. That's what I was trying to say.
I definitely don't believe in anything that's, like, random whatsoever at all. Like, I think that, like, there is, I mean, like, believe in synchronicities, and, like, even if I don't know, like, the reason for something, I always believe that there is something that made it be the way that it is.
Yeah.
Even like a random number generator. I was trying to think of an example. That's not truly random, because if you're using a program, it's going to have a predetermined reason why it's going to stop. So it's not truly random.
I mean, it could be like, oh, I'm going to do this for 5 seconds, or the numbers are from 1 to 100 instead of like 1 to 200.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there are those predetermined types of sets of things. So when someone says like, oh, that was just random, or that was just a coincidence, or that was like whatever, like, I don't necessarily believe
You're like, but why?
I'm like, there's another thing that, like, my investigative mind goes a little bit deeper into.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna pick 7.
Okay.
I'll have to go back up and find 7.
I picked 7.
Did you pick 7?
Yeah.
17. I'm going 17.
Okay.
See, maybe that's why 7 was in my brain.
Yeah.
Aha. Okay.
Or we're just in sync like that.
See, we might be in sync. We could do that too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Or just Justin Timberlake.
I would do all of those things. That's like,
let's go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, top 5. We got it.
We might as well just make a whole concert at this point.
I have an entire karaoke playlist, by the way, so I'll just show you it, and then we'll pick one and then go. That's like my thing that, like, I am not bad at it whatsoever. I think I'm probably like just fine. But I will do it even if I was bad at it. I would have done it anyway. Okay. Would you rather be cursed to relive the same terrifying nightmare every night, or be followed by a mischievous poltergeist during the day? So for me, I guess I would say every day. So I would say probably the poltergeist for me. You, like, don't fuck with my sleep. So it's like, I cannot be like having this nightmare every single night that is, cursed. I'm cursed to do that every night. So I probably would just try to rein in the mischievousness of the poltergeist, or at least, make friends with it, so that, like, maybe we could be mischievous together.
That
would be mine.
Good answer.
I have a follow-up question. is the terrifying dream, what is the level of terrifying? Are we talking like I'm getting murdered or like Sam's Club was out of cheese type of terrifying?
Well, I guess the word terrifying is subjective, I guess. I would say on like a scale of like 1 to 10, and like terrifying would be like the 8.
So no cheese at Sam's Club. Okay.
Yeah, that would be maybe on like the 1 or 2. I don't know. Maybe that would be terrifying on an 8 scale to some people. I don't know. I don't judge.
But I think I'm going to agree with you on the mischievous poltergeist. Because I mean, I can deal with mischievous. Like where, like, damn it, where are my keys? Like, but you're eventually going to find them. It's not like you're getting pushed down a flight of stairs. Like,
exactly. It's not like aggressive, like it's going to hurt you. It's just a little mischievous.
It's like living with cats.
It's like,
or being married.
It's like having like a fun, annoying sibling. Like I would also choose the poltergeist though, because the dream is, you said the same dream, right?
It just says reliving the same terrible dream. So I guess so. Yeah.
So why would I want to experience the same terrifying thing every single night when I can have a different, maybe he'll piss me off, but it could be entertaining. Like it would be different every single day. So I feel like I would rather have
the variety.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
But on the plus side, every single location that you would go to, you'd get activity.
Oh, you could have a
but if you didn't like your person and the mischievous spirit and you didn't get along very well, they might just fuck up your investigations by doing shit, and we know it's that mischievous spirit, not other things.
But then it's like, hey, something paranormal was messing with our equipment.
Yeah. True.
I mean, hey,
you're like, we'll take it, whatever. I don't care where it comes from.
Push you out a flight of stairs. I don't care. Like, actually, don't do that. Don't push me out.
Record him being mischievous and then post it on YouTube.
Right. It's like, if you can make me a lot of money, I'll be okay with this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine.
Act up. Do your thing at this point. Like, just bring in the big bucks.
Go off,
for
queen.
Me, please.
Yeah, right. Well, and for any of our listeners today too, please answer those cocktails and conundrums questions. We would love to hear from you. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. I've had the best time.
Absolutely.
And hopefully I'll see you guys soon for an investigation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us on. It was great to talk. Maybe next time we'll try to get Caleb on, but we also need to get you on our podcast as well.
Absolutely. Reach out. We will schedule a date and be ready to rock and roll.
Probably like January.
Yeah, probably January time.
We have a couple lists of guests, but we're trying to take a day and just rock them all out if we can get schedules synced up. So we'll stay in touch, but we'll definitely come to Pennsylvania.
Hell yeah. And Pennsylvania, I mean, like, I feel like a mecca too, kind of just like Ohio is that there's so much stuff here. So I feel like our paths will probably cross multiple times in our tri-state area. So thank you guys so much.
We'll cross in September when we karaoke.
Hell yeah. I'm like, the countdown is on.
Oh yeah.
And if anybody has any suggestions for Olivia and I to karaoke, drop them in the comments and maybe we'll add them to the list.
Yeah, maybe we'll just like film them and post them online for your entertainment.
I'm also okay with that.
Let's go.
For all of you listening or watching, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to be alerted of future episodes that happen here every Thursday. All links will be posted in the description, so please check them out by clicking the links below. Until next time, guys, cheers.